Yeah, thank you very much. And it's really great to be with you all. I think my perspective is perhaps is slightly different. At the start of this whole epidemic, we at the Evangelical Alliance encouraged people to do three things: to pray like we've never prayed before, to really get serious about our prayer lives for the least and the lost and the vulnerable and those in power and the NHS and everyone else. Secondly, to not panic. I think the church is called to be a non-anxious presence in moments like this. And thirdly, to show what's different when you have Jesus. I think that's really a key to us all. What is different when you're facing a pandemic and you have Jesus? What's different between me and my neighbours at this time? And when it comes to some of what's going on, particularly in the United Kingdom, and some of what's happening, I think there's three changes and then one action needed. And the three changes are this. I think there's a change in spiritual temperature. I'm an evangelist. I've been active in evangelistic ministry in the UK for 20 years, but I've never known a time like this. This is like the ultimate evangelistic moment. It's very bittersweet. It's bitter because it's horrendous what's happening to people. It's tragic how many people are losing their lives. But it's sweet because we're living in an incredible opportunity for the gospel. I think that the spiritual temperature in the United Kingdom is raising. If you look at the recent research from Tearfund in The Guardian, 1 in 4 people in the UK has access to church service. That's amazing. It's a 5-fold increase on normal. You add to that as well, Google have noticed during lockdown a spike in the UK in searches for gospel, for Jesus, for prayer. It's all very encouraging. That person you've given up on being interested in faith is that actually might be interested. There's 2 words going on which I think are quite important, called mortality salience. And mortality salience is normally referred to in a war zone. It's an awareness of your own fragility, living in the shadow of death. Right now in the United Kingdom, everyone's living with mortality salience. So the opportunities for hope are like they've never been before. And we do need to step into that. And don't give up on those people that you've known and loved, meeting Jesus. Stay focused, go for it. And don't expect to live by yesterday's rules. We're living in a different spiritual temperature. Secondly, there's a change in style. I think this is really significant. There's a change in style going on at the moment. We said in the UK that we couldn't do online church, and within 4 weeks we've broken Zoom on a Sunday morning. You know, I really commend the church for the way that they've shown the substance doesn't change, but the style changes. Not just online church, small Zoom groups, WhatsApp groups, all kinds of different initiatives going on. I heard of someone recently who put 25 Bibles out on a table on their drive with a note saying, only take one if you'll read one. Inside each Bible was a phone number and a WhatsApp group to join. And there's over 20 people in this Bible class each week. There's all kinds of things, all kinds of innovations going on. So there's a change in temperature, there's a change in style. And thirdly, there's a change in cultural narrative. Here in the UK, I think we've got used to there being quite hostility to the church. There's been a secular tsunami going on. I took over leading the Evangelical Alliance on the 1st of October. Every day till the start of lockdown, I was asked by someone my view on some moral position so that they could pigeonhole me as hateful or not inclusive or whatever else. Since the start of lockdown, I don't get asked those questions anymore. What we're asked now is, what can the church contribute in this moment to bring about the transformation of society? How can the church be part of the answer? How does the church's compassion ministries extend beyond where they are? The narrative has changed. The walls are down. Let's not let the walls be built up again. So what I'd say to folks is, firstly, the spiritual temperature has changed. So live in the day you're in, not in yesterday's day. The style has changed, but the substance remains. But then thirdly, you know, it's just incredible that the narrative of our culture has changed. So let's not feel sorry for ourselves. Let's speak hope into a culture that's looking for hope. And hope is the name. His name is Jesus. And then the final thing I was going to say, which interestingly enough has already been said, is I think in the midst of a changing spiritual temperature, a changing style, and a changing narrative, the number one thing we need is what Brueggemann talks about. We need to extend our prophetic imagination for what's possible in this moment. For me personally, I'm preaching into iPhones 7, 8, 9 times a week. First time I did it, I got a message from my wife who sat on the sofa with her husband who'd antagonized her for her faith for years. And when I did a gospel appeal at the end, she wept as her husband prayed with me and gave his life to Jesus. That can happen through an iPhone recorded a week before it's played out. We need to extend our imagination. Or a friend of mine told me about a church leader in Iran who rang through every person in their phone book just wanting to pray for them. Prayed for someone who was dying of the coronavirus in hospital. As he prayed, they were healed, gave their life to Jesus, then went around the ward praying for others to come to Jesus and be healed too. Friends, we're living in a different day. It's a new landscape. There's a new temperature, a new style, a new narrative. Let's extend our prophetic imagination, because with God, impossible is nothing.